Let's focus on how we can add and manage implants here in the implant planning module of Planmeca Romexis software. So positioning the implants would then be covered in another tutorial. Firstly, when we are thinking about the kind of implant that we could add in the plan, we could of course first use the measurement tool for measuring how much space there would be available for the implant. Before making the measurements, we would need to take care that the views are aligned so that we're measuring the right distance here on the slice views. If we would like to measure and at the same time add a generic implant, we could use this tool here for drawing an implant. So let's see how that works. So when we activate this tool, we can keep our left mouse button down, and at the same time, like we see when we are defining the dimensions for this generic implant, we can also see those dimensions displayed next to this rectangle. So this tool will produce us always this same kind of generic implant, and it will have the dimensions that we specified while drawing it. If we would like to change the dimensions of this generic implant that we defined, we can open the implant properties. So we could, for example, double click the implant here to open the properties, and now we could still edit the length, for example. Naturally, we could have started directly with the realistic implant added from our implant library. So let's open the library and let's have a look. So here we have a list of all the implant manufacturers that we currently have in the library. We're updating new implants in each version of Romexis. So from here we could browse for the implant manufacturer, open the manufacturer by clicking on this small arrow here, and then we could look for a product line in the list. And when the product line is opened, we can see all the implants in that product line. So here, like we see the model and the dimensions. We could also activate more values visible by clicking on this show all values box here. So that would show more values for the implants if we would have more values available. So from this list of implants, we could select the right size of implant that we would like to use. And by selecting an implant, we will also get a 3D preview for that implant if we have that available. When an implant is selected, we could also view the properties by clicking on this properties box here. If we have a surgical guide designing license, we can also see here the available guided surgery kits for the selected implant here in this list. If we have challenges in finding our preferred implants, we can mark any of the manufacturer's product line or implant as favorite ones. So when we have, for example, product line selected, we can right click on top of that and we can set that as favorite. So now I marked this product line as favorite. And we could also, like I said, we could do that also for an implant manufacturer or single implants as well. So right clicking and setting that as favorite. So now we could make this long list shorter by clicking on this show only favorites. So it would be easier for us to find the implants that we are used to using. Another way for looking for implants is that we could use this library search here. So here we could specify the manufacturer, product line, and then we could specify the minimum and maximum dimensions for the implant and search for suitable implants that way. If there's some implant that we are often using, we could set that implant as a default implant. So if we have selected this implant and click here on set default, we will get this implant added through this function here. So this add implant, so it would always give us this implant that we specified here. So this one we can set for one implant at a time. Besides the implants that we have in the library, we could also create new implants in the library. So if we click on this new, we could specify the manufacturer, product line, model, and the dimensions and the color for the implant. So an implant with these specifications would be added in the library, but unfortunately these would be displayed as generic cylinders in the plan. With this copy button, we could copy the current implant. So a new implant with the same properties would be added here in the library. We could use that, for example, if we would have generated a generic implant and we would like to make a whole series of generic implants by copying the previous implants and modifying a little bit the values. And if we would like to delete, for example, some implants that we generated here, we can select the implant and click on this delete. We have here in the implant library also other tabs. So these fixation pins, we will have a look at those in the edentulous surgical guide planning tutorial, and then abutment and crowns, those would be covered in the supporting tools for implant planning tutorial. So once when we have selected the kind of implant that we would like to add in the plan, we can also optionally select here a tooth number. So especially if we are planning several implants for the patient, specifying the tooth number could help us because we would then see the tooth number here in the object browser next to that implant and also in the implant report. So it would help us in distinguishing the implants from each other. And now that we had our generic implant activated here, so we had clicked on that, so it has these control points on it. We could directly replace this generic implant by this realistic implant by clicking here. If instead we would like to add a new implant to the plan and not replace the existing one, we could click on Add to Plan. Also, we would use this if we wouldn't have had any generic implant here to start with, but we would have started directly by adding a realistic implant in the plan. So let's now replace this generic implant directly by clicking here. If we would like to have several implants of exactly these dimensions and this type here in the plan, we could right-click on top of this implant and copy it. So this would make us a copy of exactly this same implant. And all the implants that we have in the plan, we can find here in the object browser. So here we could hide and show the different implants, and if we would have the tooth number, we could see that there as well. And here we could also select the implants and we could delete them.